With the D.C. primary and special election, voters across the district headed to the polls today to decide several key races shaping the future of city leadership.
Now, polls were scheduled to close at 8 p.m. and just 15 minutes ago, the Board of Elections announced the last 6 voting sites had officially closed. That is because under D.C. law, results cannot be released until everyone who is in line has cast their ballot. We heard of at least 6 locations where voters were still in line at about 10:30 tonight. So for the first time, the district is using ranked choice voting, which means final results will take longer to count. Thank you for staying up with us at 11 o'clock. I'm Lorenzo Hall.
And I'm Larry Miller. One of the key races that we're waiting on right now is that for mayor of D.C. Councilwoman Janice Louis-George and former council member Kenny McDuffie are the 2 frontrunners in this race. Let's get to Janice Louis-George right now, who is speaking after some initial results have certainly rolled in.
All right, so it looks like she finished speaking. She took the stage about 5 minutes ago, and she was really getting her base excited here.
Let's listen. It's not being made by me. I want to be clear. It's being made by all of us. Over the past year, we assembled the most diverse coalition in this city's history. United by a simple notion that government must put people first. We are native Washingtonians, and we are people who made their home in D.C. We are students and working families and retirees. We are Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, and yes, even a few boomers. Shout out to our seniors. We are community leaders, people of faith, organizers, and activists. We are immigrants. We are urbanists. We are environmentalists. We are Democrats, independents, and democratic socialists. We are teachers and early childhood educators. We are nurses, healthcare workers, and physicians. We are restaurant workers, janitors, and domestic workers. We are grocery workers, hotel housekeepers, and transit workers. We are construction workers, laborers, electricians, and carpenters. And we are delivery drivers, postal workers, and firefighters. And we are city workers, non-profit staff, and proud federal workers. And together, we are DC. All of us united for a common cause. Thank you to every organization that joined this movement to win back power for working families in DC. Thank you to every person who donated to our campaign. And let the record reflect, we had nearly 7,000 DC donors, thousands more than any mayoral candidate in DC's history. That's DC for you. Thank you to every volunteer who gave your time and your heart to this movement. Our campaign knocked on 200,000 doors. Thank you to every leader who endorsed our campaign. I am deeply proud that so many of our partners in public service chose to be a part of this movement. I thank you to my colleagues and my partners. Thank you to every single member of our campaign team. This was the most dedicated campaign DC has ever seen. Tonight belongs to you. And thank you a million times over to my amazing family and friends. To my husband, Kyle. To my son, Piers. To my mom, Diane. To my sisters and my brothers. You have been my rock and my purpose through all of this. On the hardest days, you held me and you lifted me back up. And with your unending love and support, I will never stop being grateful for you.
All right, you can see with 26% of the votes counted so far, Janice Lewis George has plenty of reasons to be excited tonight, but we should point out this is not done as of yet. A lot of the ballots still need to be counted.
Absolutely. Remember, it's that 50+1 that is a critical threshold for someone to be declared the winner, and that will prevent us from going through multiple rounds of additional counting that will take place. But the results have been something that we've been waiting on for several hours now, and they have certainly come in a major tranche. Let's go to our Matt Gregory joining us now at the Big Bore. Matt, it looks like things are holding up the way that we anticipated based on polling that we had just days leading up to election night.
Yeah, Larry, the floodgates opened and we started getting results. And let me show you why Janice Lewis George, even though this has not been called yet, feels pretty confident she's in the driver's seat for this race. With 184,000 votes counted so far in the mayor's race, you're seeing she's got 53% of the vote. And to give you an idea of just where this compares to the last race, Muriel Bowser, 2022, 126,000 people voted in that Democratic primary compared to 185,000 so far. So if you're talking about enthusiasm for this race, you can see it right there. The voter turnout seems on the Democratic primary to be massive. And in another place where we're seeing this, another historic election right here, Robert White probably feeling pretty good right now. It's 63% of the vote with 180,000 votes counted so far. 21% to the challenger, Brooke Pinto, both of them vying for that role, replacing Eleanor Holmes Norton. But where we might see the runoff start to play in is places like here in the council at large right here where, yes?
Yeah, we'll get back to
oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Give us a second. We understand you mentioned that race for D.C. delegate. Robert White is speaking right now. It is,
well, let's go to him.
Yeah, his victory party or his party right now. Let's listen into that.
For 36 years, D.C.'s warrior on the Hill, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, fought for us when people told her to be quiet, to let it go, to wait her turn. She answered them with the words that became a declaration for this city: I will not yield. Congresswoman Norton, thank you. And I promise you that I will carry your legacy forward. I too will not yield on behalf of the people of Washington, D.C. I will not yield. The fight for families drowning in the cost of housing, groceries, child care, and health care. I will not yield in the fight for workers who did everything right but lie awake at night wondering how it's all going to work. I will not yield for the people who have spent their lives waiting for a turn that never seems to come, because our turn will never come unless we demand it. Eleanor Holmes Norton understood that. The generations before us understood that. And before this night is over, I hope that every Washingtonian understands it too. We will not yield. I come from a family that knows what it means to wait our turn. 5 generations of Washingtonians who had so little but called this city home, proudly. My grandfather fought in Korea for a country that still treated him as a second-class citizen when he returned. He worked at the old Bird's Eye Food Warehouse in Union Market before it was this Union Market. The warehouses eventually became valuable property. The people who worked in them became invisible. But my grandfather helped build this city, and so did thousands of Washingtonians just like him. My father was just a boy when he rode through the streets of D.C. filled with the fire and smoke of the '68 riots to pick up his mother, my grandmother, from her position as a nurse tending to folks caught in the chaos of Dr. King's assassination. They watched buildings burn outside their car window, but what stayed with my dad wasn't the destruction, it was the people. Neighbors checking on neighbors, churches opening their doors, Ben and Virginia Ali feeding both activists and police officers. Even while our city was burning, our people had already decided that the fire would not have the final word. My father never forgot that lesson. He learned that circumstances do not have the final word and taught me that lesson. My father believed that faith could help me see what was possible long before the world was willing to see it. So he rooted me in St. Augustine's Church just off of U Street. Still scarred by those riots 2 decades later. He couldn't hand me success, but he gave me every opportunity he could. And he taught me to believe that my future was bigger than the limits other people imagined for me. Like so many Washingtonians, I was counted out as a kid. But at every stage in my life, when I could have fallen through the cracks, somebody in this city caught me. As a struggling student who needed some money, Midtown Barber Shop on Kennedy Street let me sweep floors for tips. The mothers of my friends became my mothers. And a congresswoman gave me a chance to work for my city as a young lawyer. At every stage in my life, somebody in this city reached out and pulled me forward. This city never gave up on me, and I will never give up on you. DC never gave up on me because that is the kind of place we have always been. We are not just the Washington of marble monuments and government buildings. Our DC is Duke Ellington and go-go turning struggle into music. It is Howard University homecoming. Our DC is 3 generations living under one roof trying to make it. It is asking what high school you went to before asking what you do for a living. It is 2 out of service.
You've been listening to Robert White giving his speech. As we see from the results there, doing quite well in his race for D.C. delegate. While the race has not officially been called, he certainly has a commanding lead in this race.
Yeah, but we know that his primary opponent in this race, Brooke Pinto, is also watching the numbers very closely tonight. Our Eric Flack has spent the night at her watch party. Flack, you spoke to Pinto one-on-one roughly an hour ago. The numbers not looking too great for her right now. So what is she saying?
Yeah. You know, I think there was kind of an optimism in this room until late this evening because it took so long for those election results to come out. In fact, there was a party atmosphere. The band had started. Councilmember Pinto had, in fact, addressed the crowd and saying, hey, we are still going to wait for these election results to come in. She did, in fact, say that whether or not you voted for me, whether or not I win or lose, we are one city, we are one Washington, D.C. It was just a couple minutes after that the election, that first batch of election results came in, and the numbers, of course, did not look good. I can tell you inside the room, everybody had been refreshing their phone throughout the evening, and once those election results did come in, that first batch, everybody started to come to grips with the reality that the election was not going in Councilmember Pinto's way. She is actually back out here now, surrounded by her family and closest advisors. She has a good attitude about her. I actually had the chance to talk with her just a couple minutes ago. I said, how do you feel? She said, look, I couldn't have run any harder a campaign. She did, in her eyes, everything she could have done to win this delegate nomination for D.C., to represent D.C. And I asked her, well, what do you do now? She said, I go back to work tomorrow because we have a budget to pass on D.C. Council. She remains the Ward 2 council member representing D.C. So again, I think an upbeat, considering the circumstances, attitude here at the Eaton Hotel, where Councilmember Pinto and her closest advisors and supporters remain here tonight, kind of coming to grips that this election does not seem to be going their way, but proud of the campaign they ran and ready to get back to work as Ward 2 council member. Guys, back to you.
Listening to her speech a little earlier, and it sounded a bit somber, even before we started to see some of these results just a short time ago.
Yeah, certainly the analysis then was that she was not giving a speech of a winner.
Yeah. All right, Flack, thank you.
All right, the other front runner for the race for mayor is former council member Kenny McDuffie.
Yeah, our Katie Lusso is live at his campaign event at the park on 14th Street in Northwest. So, Katie, what's the mood there at this hour?
Yeah, well, the crowd has really started to thin out quite a bit. Kenny McDuffie is no longer up here with most of his supporters. He was here around 9:30 tonight, and he went up on the stage and he thanked everyone who was here. He said he knows full well that it could be quite a while before the official results are all counted and a clear winner is chosen. But this is a man who has more than a decade of political experience under his belt. 3 years as the at-large council member, 10 years as a Ward 5 council member. And it's not just political experience. He says that is what makes him the best for the job. He told the crowd he is the son of the district. He was a criminal prosecutor and a civil rights attorney for the Obama administration. He doubled down on his message that he would prioritize safety, affordability, and fighting to make sure the people of D.C. have a real say in the way D.C. is governed. Here's what his final message to his supporters was tonight.
We're going to let these votes get counted. We're going to respect this process, but I want you all to know the fight continues tomorrow and every single day after it. Put everybody here in this room behind me. We cannot go wrong. We will fight and deliver for all DC. Let's go. Let's get it done. Thank you all.
And now, in addition to thanking his family, friends, his supporters, and his team, he also thanked Eleanor Holmes Norton. He said her years of service should be applauded. And, he didn't get Mayor Bowser's endorsement. He acknowledged that tonight, but he also took some time to thank her for her decades of service. Again, he said that he is ready to trust the process and wait for those official results to come in. Lorenzo?
Okay, we know he'll be watching it again. This is not a done deal just yet, but still there's a bit of optimism in the air with the Team McDuffie. All right, Katie, thank you. So we know there were a lot of issues tonight when it comes to the votes being calculated, the results being released. Our John Duran is at the Board of Elections office tonight to give us some clarity and understanding about how this all worked out.
Yeah, John, really the chief question, why did it take so long for us to start getting results?
Well, Larry, Lorenzo, you're going to hear from Gary Thompson, the chair of the D.C. Board of Elections, just a minute here, but basically said there's a lot of voters that turned out. He said it was more than what he believes he saw in 2024 when there was, of course, a presidential election. There was a lot of voters. There was long lines at a lot of polling places, so people had to wait. We know that those polling locations didn't close until around 10:30 at night, we got the, or 10:45 rather, tonight. We quickly after that got the first wave of results, and I'll show you because this room has just been busy all day. A single cog in the machine here of processing votes at the DC Board of Elections. They just called it quits only a few minutes ago. Very long day. They'll be back at it tomorrow morning. But like I said, we spoke to Chair of the DC Board of Elections, who says long lines, a lot of people voting. That's a good sign. It shows people care.
A great sign. You know, people should come out and vote, and we've got a very interesting race here in D.C. I've lived here almost 40 years. I mean, you can just tell people are engaged, they want to participate, and, you know, people can wait until 6, 7 p.m. on the last day to vote. That's fine. You know, it just left a couple lines to kind of finish up here at this point in the evening. We'll get the first results released as soon as we can.
We did get those first results late tonight. A lot of significant information came with those results, but we know this is a process that could take days, maybe a little over a week to fully count, tally, process all these votes. We know that, as we've told you, mail-in ballots postmarked today, they have 10 days to count those up till June 26, Lorenzo, Larry. So still a lot of work here to be done.
Yeah, a significant number of votes have already been counted. But again, as you mentioned, John, we cannot emphasize it enough. This is not done just yet, especially when you factor in ranked choice voting.
Oh, absolutely. But certainly this early data giving us a very clear picture of
where
how
this
things
is going.
potentially could go. John Duran, thank you so much. So let's check out some other key races that we're following for you tonight. Voters are deciding a special election to fill the at-large seat vacated by Kenny McDuffie as he runs for mayor, with Elisa Silverman right now with a rather commanding lead at 55% with 58% of the precincts reporting.
That used to be her seat. She might get it back. All right, so voters are also choosing a new Ward 1 council member, with Brianna Nadeau announcing she is not running for a 4th term. And you can see right there, Aparna Raj leading right now with 46% of the votes in that race.
All right, so let's get a look at the race for Ward 5 council member. Zachary Parker is the incumbent, facing off against Bernita Carmichael and Bridget K. French. Zachary Parker right now, a rather commanding lead, 76% of the votes with 67% of the precincts reporting. And
Charles Allen is the incumbent in Ward 6. Here's a look at that race. We have Gloria Ann Nauden and Michael Murphy challenging him. But as you can see right here, with 63% of the votes counted so far, he has a commanding lead with 75% of the votes. And you know, we have extended coverage of this historic primary election in D.C., so we are staying on the air with you until midnight.
We're going to take a quick break, reset. We'll be right back after this.